Macca's Guides.
Hey guys, Macca here with a video about the easiest games for Gamerscore that are a part of the Xbox Game Pass. I originally made a video similar to this in June of 2017. However, I do think that enough time has passed since then for there to be a small update to that video. I'll be looking at the current roster of games as of April 2018. I'll be going through a bunch of the games in the service. I'll be recommending the ones that I believe are the easiest Gamerscore and most worth your time. And hopefully those of you who are a part of the service or thinking about using a free trial will get some useful information out of this video. For those who are unaware, you should be able to grab a 14-day free trial of the service just by going to the Game Pass page. And if you'd like to be a part of the service, it's going to be about $10 a month to stay in and have access to a large library of games. Now, what I'm going to be doing is just sorting all of the games from A to Z, and I will be separating this video into kind of 2 or 3 categories depending on how you count them. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be showing you the 5 easiest games that are in the Game Pass, and each of these games can be done in under 5 hours. The 5 easiest games in the Game Pass are iDarb, which will take only a few hours, and it used to require a Kinect, but no longer does. You can boost this pretty easily, I believe, against a second controller, and it's not too hard to get that 1000. The second game I'll be recommending under 5 hours is Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons. I do have video guides available for this game if you so desire. It's a very good game, and it'll only take you around 2 to 3 hours to get the full 1000 Gamerscore in. Next up, what I'll be recommending is down in the L's and the K's, and I will recommend Night Squad, which is a game that was, I believe, part of Games with Gold, and only takes a few hours to complete, right around the 3-hour mark. And just next to that, we have Late Shift, which is a game that was recently added, and if you follow a guide and do the appropriate steps to make sure you can get all of the endings within one playthrough, you can grab 1000 in this game in about 2.5 hours, and it's actually a pretty unique game. I would recommend it. It's something very different. I recently played this one. Last but not least, the 5th and final game that is under 5 hours for 1000 Gamerscore as a part of Game Pass is The Swapper, which will be located somewhere down here. The Swapper, if you're following along with a guide, you can get done in under 4 hours for sure. Now, next up, the category we're going to be kind of shifting to is easy games on the Xbox One that take between 5 and 10 hours and don't require a ridiculous amount of skill. So what we're going to be starting off with is a somewhat new game, and that game is going to be Super Lucky's Tale. Super Lucky's Tale is a decent amount of fun. It's not a great game, but it's not a bad game either. And it's very kid-friendly. It's pretty easy, and you can grab the 1000 in probably 6 to 8 hours. I think most people would find reasonable. Another game we could do pretty quickly in that same 6 to 8 hour range is Mega Coin Squad, which will be found up here. Another 6 to 8 hours for that. Next to that, we have Max: The Curse of the Brotherhood, also looking at around 6 to 8 hours. Tower of Guns is also around that same 6 to 8 hour mark. So there we go, Tower of Guns. Not far from that, we have The Final Station, which is right around that same 6 to 8 hour mark. It also has a DLC worth 1,500 points, which also takes around 6 to 8 hours. So you're looking at a potential 2,500 Gamerscore in 12 hours in The Final Station. Another 6 to 8 hour game, we have Layers of Fear, which is a good horror genre game. It's very different. It's not necessarily like the greatest horror game, but it definitely tries some things, and it definitely succeeds in some ways. We also have NBA Playgrounds, which can be found somewhere around here. There we go. Also coming in around that 6 to 8 hour mark. Next up, we have The Bug Butcher, which is yet another game coming in around that 6 to 8 hour mark, depending on your skill. This one takes a little bit more skill than some of the other ones on the list, so if you're pretty good at it, you might end up around the 5-hour mark, but if you're struggling, you might end up around the 10-hour mark. Another game that is somewhat similar in terms of the skill required is Super Time Force. This is a game that will take roughly around 8 to 10 hours, but it'll take a lot less for people who are really good at it, or potentially a lot more for people who are struggling. There's also some very tough DLC that comes along with this game. Another game that also will require a little bit of skill. As you can see, we're kind of getting into the harder stuff, the things that are taking a little bit longer, but there's the same amount of payoff in terms of Gamerscore. We have Hue right around that 8-hour range, but does require a little bit of skill. Next up on the list, I have Oxenfree. Right around that 8 to 10 hour mark, requires around 3 playthroughs of the game, but it is a fantastic game, and even if you're not doing it for the 1000 gamer score, you can grab about 900 pretty quickly in 2 playthroughs. 2 more games to quickly recommend are in the R's. We have Rime, right around the 10-hour mark. If you're following a guide, you could probably reduce that quite a bit. Riptide GP Renegade, also around the 10-hour mark if you're looking to do it. And then, last but not least, in that 5 to 10-hour range of Xbox One games, we do have Costume Quest 2, which, it's a Halloween game, and I'd probably recommend it during Halloween. But for those looking for some points, you might actually find some use out of this. And then I have 2 more games that are going to be just out of the 10-hour range, but people might be interested in for Gamerscore reasons, and those are going to be in the S's. We have Sherlock Holmes, The Devil's Daughter, right around that 10 to 12 to 15-hour range, and then So Many Me around that 15 to 25-hour range, but does require a decent amount of skill. Last but not least, the last category we'll kind of be looking at is easy games in Xbox Game Pass that are on Xbox 360, through back compat, and most of these games, in fact all of them but one game, do not offer the full 1000 gamer score. So we'll be starting off with Dig Dug. This is a pretty easy game. Again, it doesn't offer the 1000 gamer score though. Dead Rising 2 Case Zero, another one that I actually really enjoyed this game. It was my first introduction to Dead Rising, and it was pretty good for what it offered. Next up, we have Lego Batman. This is the only 360 game on here that's easy, that does have a full 1000 gamer score. And although it's easy, it does take a decent amount of time, right around the 25-hour mark. Next up, what we have on the list is Neo Geo Battle Coliseum. Before all of the ACA Neo Geo games that are now on Xbox One, we had this game, a pretty easy completion in my opinion. Pac-Man Championship Edition DX, also easy gamer score. Next up on the 360, we have Sega Vintage Collection Alex Kidd & Co., as well as Sega Vintage Collection Golden Axe. These 2 are pretty easy games when compared to some of the other ones. At the end of this same row, we have Soul Calibur, and then a little bit below that, we should have somewhere around here The King of Fighters 98 Ultimate Match. For some reason, it just comes up as KOF 98UM. This one's also not going to be too bad for Gamerscore. Another thing I did also want to show you guys before we ended the video was that if you back out and kind of go to the Game Pass landing page, you can scroll down and you'll see that there are a whole bunch of categories which the games are sorted by. Alphabetically, family-friendly games, indie games, and there is an achievement hunting tab here which shows some of the curated games that Xbox has decided have easy gamer score. Some of the games, a lot of the games I talked about today are in this list, but a lot of ones I talked about aren't in this list. And this game also has some games that I didn't include because I think games like Halo Spartan Assault and Bard's Gold and Ultratron are a little bit difficult when compared to some of the other games we talked about in our list. So if that is something you desire, you can also check out this tab on the Game Pass page and see if anything interests you here at a quick glance. So there you guys have it, an updated Xbox Game Pass Easy Gamerscore games video. This video had about 30 games that are part of the service, offering around 30,000 Gamerscore. Most of the games on the list are under 10 hours. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. You know, share it with a friend. Drop a like if you did. A special thanks to all the amazing people on Patreon who support the channel. You can also check out Doc Cupcake on Mixer if you so desire. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I see you next time. Peace.